Yes, I will explain to you. Me lo bendice también para darle gracias a la... Pero ahorita me va a introducir primero.
Can you hear me now? Okay, that's better. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? Did everyone get some snacks, check out the vendors, do some art? Awesome. I'm really excited to present Elia Gómez-Smith, who is just a wonderful human being. She works at UCSD. She's a nurse. She is a woman in fermentation and beer, the land of beer, which is super cool. And we're in for a treat today. I don't think anyone's seen anything like it. So without further ado, give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes? Perfect. I'm going to speak louder. But first of all, thank you for being here. There's so many invited to come, few the chosen ones. So thank you. Capullo Mexica, our local community members, they're here to bless this space, to bless each one of us right now. Anyone that entered that door, all of us together, we're creating this energy. So thank you. So.
Conciencia sí. Que nos da el que todo lo puede, el homoteo, la esencia masculina y femenina.
Sí.
Que Dios bendiga todo tu camino y todo este trayectoria que has demostrado como guerrera de Oaxaca y ese orgullo que llevas en tu corazón, que lo transmites y lo enseñas a todo el mundo. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Vamos a sentir.
¿Son naturales?
Sí, lo hice hoy para darle la bendición a la señora. Sí, Él es Dios. And I'm presenting this to Cassandra. The element of flower, it has a very feminine meaning, right? But also it has a masculine meaning when it's being cut. So we believe that when it's placed in this element, it has both. So it's balanced. So I'm presenting to you, thank you for bringing these beautiful people here into our community and being so loyal to all of us. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I forgot my things. Okay, muchachos, ¿quieren tocar?
Vamos a comenzar con el permiso de las 4 direcciones. We're going to start asking permission to the 4 directions to start dancing this circular line, Cumbia line. And we are indigenous too from Mexico. And in my group, Capullo Mexica, we have people from everywhere from Mexico. From Oaxaca, from Mexico City. I'm from Guadalajara, and very honored to be here, blessing Elia and wishing her the best today and for now on and in the future. And thank you for letting us be here, and I feel so proud. And vamos a comenzar con el permiso de las 4 direcciones y a nuestra Madre Tierra, que nos deja pisar en ella, Tierra Kumigay, que también son indígenas y también que nos permiten estar en estas tierras y mostrar esta hermosa cultura ancestral de México. Comenzamos, mijo, siempre comenzamos en el este, donde sale el sol.
We're going to stand up, please.
We're going to start.
We're going to bless every direction of earth.
And this is with the sunrise. Él es Dios.
Él es Dios.
we're gonna dance the permission to Mother Earth, like the hummingbird. We're gonna fly to the front, to the back, and then we're gonna come, and then we're gonna come, and again, and then this is what the hummingbird does. He can fly whatever he wants, any direction he wants. It's the only bird that and everything what we do has meaning. And it's just a little bit of meaning. Indigenous. Vámonos a Dios, muchachitos. Place we're gonna be there at the cemetery. We're gonna be part of the soil again.
Gracias.
¿Quieres explicar? Se va a hacer una danza y quieres que nos quedemos a la presentación o quieres que salgamos?
Como ustedes quieran. Sería bonito si se quedaran, pero sí sería bien.
Sí, me encanta.
Entonces van a tocar otra canción y dedicada a quién.
¿Quieres que hagamos un maíz o
El
la de
maíz.
tierra?
El maíz. So I brought the elements of corn. Corn is one of the grains of our culture, and it's also one of the most produced grains in the world, either genetically modified or with history or not. It's a grain to me. So I'm here to honor it, and I requested to please play a song for me to be able to work with grain today. In this case, it's corn, and I will explain in my presentation. Okay? everybody hear me? Now that we're standing, please, if everybody stand. I'm going to do something that I usually ask the community here in San Diego for the last decade. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I supported our community for a very long time as an end-of-life specialist. I was with so many families during their worst day of their life. I'm a science woman. I'm a member of the community. I have history. And to be honest, I had no idea how I was going to do my job. My hands would tremble. I didn't know how to support our community. There was a family that were saying, we don't believe in anything. And I didn't know how to help them. So I said, we all breathe. We all take a breath. That symbolized that together to us, we're going to take a deep breath, we're going to hold it, and then we're going to let go. What it's going to do is going to calibrate me able to look at your eyes. I want you to listen to my words of how I see nature as a science woman, as a member of the community. Can we do that? Is that okay? Thank you. Let's count. Let's take a deep breath. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Let go. Energetically, even in Chinese medicine and the Zapotec and Mixtec, what is happening, and I was mentioning to some of us outside, let's say I didn't sleep all day, or you had a ton of coffee. Your energy will give it to the person next to you. So let's see today if we can create right now a community that is cohesive, that is going to honor some cultures. They also were part of the drumming. Wavelength travels in a way that if they're constructive, they build up. If they're destructive, they shock. So when I do work with cultures, I always say, my child. And I know people are like, well, why are you talking to yeast? It's a living organism. And it might sound a little funny, but people say, oh, yours is really nummy. And I said, well, it's because I put energy into it. We build a wave together, constructive interference. So yesterday I was buying corn to make a fermentable, and a lady looked at me and said, why are you smiling? Who are you talking to? She was joking. And I thought, and by the way, sorry, go ahead and sit down. Yes, I just realized everybody's standing up. And the lady asked me, why are you laughing? And I said, because I wonder what my culture says they're gonna like. Do they want corn that is purple, or do they want the white? I don't know. So I got both. And she's like, okay. I gave her one of the flyers, and I told her, I'm gonna be presenting at the Mycological Society Fungus Fair. And she's like, about what? And I said, about life, about how we are connected with this. Time and space and matter, how we are connected. And she said, that's funny. We didn't ask to be born. We don't want to die. We need to learn how to live. And we just left it to that, and she left and I left. So I honor that woman that shared that with me yesterday. Let me go to the next. A little bit about me, and I'll go fast. As you know, I'm originally from Mexico. The areas of Oaxaca and Guerrero, we're very south deep of Mexico. How many people have visited Oaxaca or knows about Oaxaca? Quite a bit of people. So as you know, it's very diverse. You have the mountains, and 3 hours you have the Pacific Ocean and this jungle. And it's almost shocking. You're like, can't believe we were in 10,000 feet and now we're right here. Yet the energy, every little area has its own rhythm. And it's very, at the same time, very ritualistic. When you meet one community and you go to the next and you're like, the food was wonderful, but there's something about this. And I believe that is us part of that ecosystem. Now, I am a chemist, a fermentation chemist. I graduated from Northeastern State University. I came to San Diego and I took a biorenewables certificate program learning how we create food. What's the relationship of our generation with food? Are we sustainable? Why were so many of us, my goodness, how are we gonna maintain this? How? And I was really concerned. I'm like, I'm ready to rescue the world. I go in, wonderful professors from UCSD, and I created vaccines, I grew algae, beautiful little things. Chunky, you squeeze them, and then you create biodiesel. So I was in the frontier. Out of 65 scientists, we were gonna save the world. We were gonna replace 1-to-1 ratio of petroleum with biodiesel from a single cell organism. It's called Daniela. It's round and it has 2 flagella. They're super cute. They like to swim in pairs. They're super fun. Now, here I am graduating, and then there's no jobs. Fracking came in. Now we have methane gas. We're capturing gas. We're pressurizing the gas. Hey, the United States can still support its infrastructure as a country with this new technology, fracking. Methane gas, easy to transport if it's in a liquid form. They created a liquid to go under the earth and push the gas up and capture it. We don't need algae. We don't need organisms. And Elia has no job. So I found a job at Whole Foods Market, and I was your vitamin girl. But I was like, okay, I will tell you. This vitamin D versus this vitamin D is the same thing. It's just different companies. Get this one. This one is the cheapest. I kind of got in trouble, but I have to be honest, right? I'm like, where is Elia going to go? I wanted to rescue the world, and I have no job. And then finally, I meet a doctor. I used to call it my hallway of the lonely hallway. On Sundays, I get all these lonely people telling me their story. And I was annoyed. I'm like, here we go. I'm going to start facing things. They're going to ask questions, and I know they were here last Sunday. But hey, I didn't know that I was going to meet a wonderful woman. She said, you're very unique. What's your background? I'm a scientist. Can you work in a very unique place? Can you handle it? I can handle anything. I used to make jet fuel, biodiesel. I am a scientist. This has to do with organ donation and working with death. Can you do that? I called my father, and he said, pays the bills, gotta do it. I became an employee of UCSD San Diego as an end-of-life specialist. Anyone who died an unexpected death, I held their hand. I helped the process, and I helped the community. Within that rhythm, I was really trying to grasp what's going on here. These little guys over here, all my cultures, I would go home, I would feed them, and I would talk to them. Like, I really don't know what happened. Why was she driving so fast? And then she's no longer here. My goodness. So I started recording myself. I became the #1 person in the United States for 2020 during pandemic for people to say yes to donation. And I was talking to them on the trees, outside in the parking lots. But what I was doing, I went back home and I said, okay, if the world is going upside down, I need my elements. And I will grab the tree and talk to the family about their loved one. But what they didn't know, I was seeking for help. I was asking nature, help me. How I'm going to continue this job and this support of my community if I'm falling apart as well. So All I want to be is a scientist. I want to play with bugs. That's all I want. But yeah, I was given this big task in a very honorable and beautiful way. My mom called me home and say, time for a cleanse, little child. So she said, I need you to become a woman of earth again, and I need you to study. I heard there's a country called China, and in this country, they are wonderful in herbology. I signed up for traditional Chinese medicine, and there I was like, wait a minute. This sounds like my culture in some ways. There is a balance of things. There's a connection of things. Okay, I think I got it. I think I can continue supporting the community, but I made a pledge. I can only do it a decade. After that, I don't think I can. My mother said, in order to continue, you need to come home and tell Earth, can you find someone else? I am ready to move on. So as I'm finishing, I'm going to go next. Can you go next? Yes, please. It's to the right, yeah. I competed. I was like, someone challenged me and said, hey, can you make a beer? I'm like, has bugs in it? Absolutely. What do you want? Give me a challenge. Oh, can you make a gluten-free beer? Okay. What would be my substrate? Okay, I think I know a few strains. Okay, yes, I'll do it. I competed. I won a scholarship. Ballast Point is my sponsor. I forgot I even applied for this competition, and they called me in January and said, hey, you're one of the finalists. Can you come over? And I said, for what? Finalists of what? Your beer. I'm like, oh, yes, I remember. So what that happened, remember, we're here to understand the rhythm of nature with us and our relationship. I didn't realize the door was closing, where I was not going to support our community in a very intimate transition of life. And now I was going to support, okay, oh, you're making beer. And I told the owner of Ballast Point, I'm not making beer. I am taking care of nature in a microscopic way, which is yeast. And that is a fungus. It's part of the fungus kingdom. I'm like a yeast rancher. And they all laugh. I'm like, huh? Well, okay, congratulations. Took the pictures and like, okay, go. So can you go next, please? Thank you. And then time has come. I have taken almost the whole program. I'm training to be a brewmaster. I've been invited around the United States. I went to a company called RAR Corporation. I didn't know what to expect. They happened to be the biggest malting company in the world. When I got there, I'm pulling my suitcase, and I see all these men waiting and say, thank you. We heard about you. We made a luncheon for you. I'm like, for me? I was so nervous I could not eat. They gave me tours of the entire company, and then I'm thinking, why am I here? Okay, the life is going in a very, very interesting ways. All I want is play with the bugs. That's all, the yeast and that's it. This has changed. I realize I am representing something that I want us to remember, which is those three items, which is science, cultural traditions, and community. Right now, we're forming a community. The little guys over there, that I'll pass them around if you want to see them, they're in a community within our community. So let's see what is it that I've been doing. So as I mentioned, I'm from Mexico, Oaxaca. I wanted to show the map because a lot of people don't know where is Oaxaca, which is way south. And it looks tiny, right? But it's not. It's very complex. It contains the highest indigenous population in all Mexico. And one of the three main is called Mije, Zapotec, and Mixtec. My family fights which one would we belong to, and I cannot go into it. But I say I'm an indigenous woman, and that's all it matters, to be honest. Can you go next? Thank you. Now, what people know about Oaxaca? Mushrooms. psilocybin, a experience that we all look. There's a place called El Cerro de la Posteca in San Mateo, Rio de Hondo. And there is a type of mushroom called derrumbes. Derrumbes means a landslide. In my adult life, I never had them before until recently. And I'll tell you the story why I had to do it and why I chose to do it. But that's kind of what most people knows about Oaxaca. But Oaxaca is so diverse in so many ways. And in one of those is how we ferment food. The corn that you see today, I have it fermenting at home right now. I cooked it for 3 hours. I use calcium oxide to make it soft, and which is the lime, and ocal in Spanish. And I was watching it. I'm like, oh, it's getting bigger, but I don't see the outside layer of the corn escaping. I must be doing something wrong. I called my mom. This presentation used to be 120 slides. 120, and I started with diacetyl. Do you guys know what's diacetyl? And literally my mom said, what are you doing? That is like you put everyone to sleep. That's not the purpose you're there. You're there to connect. We're there to become a community, just like my community here. Can you go next? Thank you. Now, yeast. We know that is an organism already. I repeated it many times. An organism that is living needs food. And that we call it in the scientific world a substrate. We give it an environment where either we control it or it is here in the air. And then they come and they eat. The word environment, that's the word I really want to emphasize. Think about it. Imagine this room, we are one of those containers. And each one of us represent a single cell of this container. Are we comfortable? Yes, I see space among us, right? You might say hi to your neighbor, maybe not. We all came together for the ceremony. Yeast behaves in a similar way. It's a community and a population. So I became fascinated. I have a collection of microscopes. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's okay. I like to look at the cells, if they're chunky, are they vibrant, are they healthy, what are they hungry for. Each one of us can play with that because each one of us eat fermentables. Anybody here ferments foods? What do you usually do? Uh-huh. Oh, beautiful. So do you use koji?
Yeah, koji make rice floods and miso. Yeah.
So koji is similar to yeast. It's another organism. And I could go very specific in biochemistry part of koji, but that's not why we're here. I think it is how we're going to give that environment. So now we're inside a container, right here. How is our environment? And that's what I was thinking on the way here. Next time you eat something, let's question how it got to your hands, and if it was, how it was processed, how it was given to you, and who made it easy for you to eat. And the answer most likely will be an organism like yeast, like a fungus. It is a fungus, a mushroom, anything that will convert those compounds into something more digestible. Macromolecules, there are some macromolecules we cannot digest. So I was like, okay, what kind of fermentables can I bring as a traditional within Oaxaca? And can you go to the next, please? I took these pictures. I'm really new at it. That is actually foam in the background. I didn't have anything white. But they came up okay, I think. I made all of this for you guys, and this is the product right here. And I'm going to talk about each one of them. But The center of it is fermentation. I'm using 4 different cultures to ferment each item that you see today. Can you go next, please? First, the pineapple. Everybody here loves pineapple, right? Tepache, have anybody tried tepache? Yes. Tepache is made out of pineapples. I remove the core. I use cinnamon. I use like a brown sugar that is typical from Mexico. It's called piloncillo, thank you. And I use a little bit of star of anise and some big peppers. Now, okay, we all know we're making something. I inoculated with cerveza, is one of the strains for the yeast. I couldn't let the environment come and inoculate, but I wanted a fast fermentation. So what happens? You control temperature. You control pH. You control the environment, where the type of light you're going to put on that environment. So sounds pretty cool, I think. We are manipulating science right now. But and then what else? What else? So pineapple is not just pineapple. Tepache is not just pineapple. Where are we getting? And I find it that bromelain is one of the compounds that is subtracted from the pineapple during fermentation. So I did a quick experiment, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to boil the skin. There's YouTube videos everywhere. Chop it up, boil it. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Bromelain is an enzyme that gets denatured when you hit 100 degrees. So how are we going to get bromelain to? I'm like, oh, that's not good. So you mean all those videos of broiling, that means we're not getting bromelain? So I went to NCBI, peer review articles, and yeah, we denature bromelain. So how we're supposed to eat it? How we're supposed to drink it? And it's room temperature. The answer is easy. So those are the little details that I'm finding out as a scientist. Okay, we have protocols, procedures, rules and regulations about everything. But yeah, we have this massive information in the internet and word of mouth, and we're all thinking that we're taking bromelain in, and we're not. Bromelain is good for inflammation. Bromelain is good for digestion. So next time, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to share with everyone. When you make tepache, everything has to be done at room temperature. What happens if you are in a cold place? What will happen to the cells of the living organism? It will count, they won't move as much. They want higher temperatures. So, and then you can, as a brewer, you can tweaks here and there to make it happen. So that's how I'm finding out the relationship we have with any culture that we have. So can you go to the next, please? Now, are you guys familiar with this organism? Anybody? Right, water kefir grains. That's what they're known here. They're known as búcaros in Mexico. Now, there's, again, this massive amount of information about what they do. Good for diabetes, good for, probiotics, good for, and then you get almost dizzy, to be honest. What are they really good for? Again, I go back to basics. They're breaking down sugars for us to be able to consume better. So that's I'm starting at that basis, and then you can go more on the science. You can get a high doses of potassium. You can do if someone has stomach problems, you can use different sugars like coconut, for example. Now you have electrolytes going in. So I'm starting to find out, okay, what I'm going to use today, I use coconut, and I can pass it around if you guys want me to. Will you guys feel comfortable if I pass it around? Okay, if you're going to grab it from the top and on the bottom. But give it they're right there. They're super chunky, by the way. They're hungry, and I can tell they're eating because I took the specific gravity on the way here. So if you want to
What is this again?
These are bulgaros.
No, pero the coconut sugar?
That one has coconut water and brown sugar. So now, any questions so far, by the way?
You said you measured the gravity. What does that mean?
A specific gravity. So in the brewing world, you have a liquid that you're going to give it a sugar source, and you're going to inoculate with an organism. The amount of sugar is in that volume is read by a specific number called specific gravity. How much sugar is available for those little buggies? So I have about 5 gallons of that organism. In order to inoculate that volume, I use just a cup. So roughly 5 liters of volume for 1 cup of. So a specific gravity will tell you how much food to give your organism. So.
You can make with milk, like yogurt?
Yes. So this is the water kefir grains. There is another organism called milk kefir grains, and that has a different bacteria that helps break down lactose. So my family is lactose free, so we don't. Yeah. So yeah, I know it looks it's big, so be careful. Sorry. So go ahead. Let's go to the next one. So we get to the fan. I am going to pass this one. This one is smaller. This one I collected in Oaxaca, and I don't have pictures of me doing the fermentation because it's been fermenting for 3 months. But that's called huitlacoche. So we're in the fungus kingdom. In our culture, in the Mayans, Zapotec, Mixtecs, and all of our culture, there is a form of breaking down of something. Down south, we have a fungus that breaks down corn. Has anybody had huitlacoche? Right? It's extremely good. Now, if someone sees that on their corn, it looks pretty nasty, right? You're like, I don't think that looks good. I remember as a kid, my mom would send me to buy huitlacoche, and to be honest, I was like, why are they eating this? Something's wrong with them. And to be honest, I didn't touch it for a very, very, very long time until, as a scientist, I'm like, wait a minute. This is delicious. And how I'm going to experiment. So I bought some corn in the United States, and I'm like, how do I find this specific strain? I contact scientists. I snuck a couple of things through the border. And there's recording, sorry. So no bad things. It was just little inoculation things. So I have corn, right? I have corn, and I'm like, got it. I got the temperature. I'm going to inoculate the corn, and I'm going to make huitlacoche. I'm going to make the best quesadillas ever in the United States. I failed. So I read that if you burn wood, the ashes, whatever ashes are on the ground, if there is a specific strain that you want, it will land on the ashes. You can collect the ashes, put it in a petri dish, and grow a specific strain, and you do microbiology to single cell the organism. It didn't work either. So I'm not gonna lie, it was smelling kind of ugly in my garage. So I decided to throw everything away. So going down to Mexico, I know it gotta be some sort of environment in Mexico that allows for that organism. So we go back to that environment. So we have an organism, an environment. So I would love to replicate that here in the United States, but I don't know if anybody does it. But the one that I'm passing around, I don't know where it ended up, so it's right there. I use sea salt, pink salt, water. I boil it. I use a little bit of onion, put it on a jar, and call it a day. Why we use, does anybody has idea why we use salt when we preserve things? Anybody in the audience?
The pH?
Yes, good. So what did you say? I'm sorry.
Pulls out the water. from
Yes, exactly. Or hypotonic or hypertonic solutions, right? And also it carries nutrients and things out of the organism. And at the same time, the pH becomes in a way that it's not fighting with other organisms. And then we go back to fermentation. You're like, oh, okay. Can I ferment more things? Absolutely. So you're starting to see a pattern. What kind of things can we ferment and how are we gonna achieve that, right? And now we learn that we need an organism that we like, that will give us specific flavors, and also can we give it the environment? You might have to go all the way to Oaxaca to try specific things. We might try here so hard to replicate it that we can't. Why? And I go back to the environment. It's a different place. So what it does to me as a scientist is say, okay, I cannot replicate something like this. I have an organism. It doesn't make it. So that tells us we're very unique. Yeah, we're very alike. So now I'm going to go back to culture. When you go down to Oaxaca, it's not just a food item. It's, well, I wonder what bug made it, right? Now bring the element of the organism and start thinking that way. And that's how I think. And it really makes me very happy. I don't know how to explain it. It's an intimate relationship that we have with our food. Can you go the next? Thank you. We're almost done. Remolacha, beets. So now, this is very common in other countries. It's kvass. Have you guys tried kvass before? Right? Effervescent. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one right, but it's a little, it's bubbly. Fizzy, yes. It's bubbly, it's nummy. So I did an experiment at home. I said, people say cut it, make it into slice. I'm like, I don't think my bugs want that. The organism that I inoculated the jar with, I'm like, I want them to really eat. I want get all the chemicals out. So I decided to do a spiral. Why do you think I did the spiral? What do you think? Surface area, that's right. So I am literally imagining how much of the organisms are reaching in. And plus it looks cool, I think, right? It's really pretty. And so while I was doing that, I got a call from my mom, and she told me, are you gonna make them rose petals? I didn't know what my mom was talking about. I'm like, oh yes, Mom, yes. How many roses did you buy? Roses? No, they're beets, Mom. They're red. No. How many red roses did you buy? I didn't buy any roses. I don't know what she was talking about. And she told me, you're talking about surface area. You should make the community a fermentable rose. I say, oh, I don't know if I can do that, Mom. It's too short of a notice. I cannot find organic red roses. And then I did more digging, and the red color, I'm kind of representing that as well. Even though there's no red roses here, you can do the same thing. Let's pretend that it's a petal. You put petals inside of a jar and you put salt. You compact it, and now you have a fermented potpourri. I did more research, and then I realized, wait a minute, we used to do potpourri back in the day like that. So I was kind of like, what happened? Now we use oils and we use, artificial things. But I challenge you guys, make your own potpourri out of fermentable petals and salt. Crush it down and let it ferment. You will open the jar and it will be absolutely delicious and beautiful, aromatic, just like if you would have buy. So, and sorry, I didn't include the picture because I didn't have any roses. We're almost done. Let me pass this one, that way you guys can see it.
So you said petals and salt, no water?
No water. So again, we're going to go back to hypotonic solutions, hypertonic solutions. We're going to remove any context, any color. Let it dry as well, and it will be almost like a paste. Later on, get some salt and put it on your sauce and put it on your body.
Just curious, I always thought fermentation you needed sugar. That's not true.
Well, sugar is a substrate, but you can do other things that do have sucrose.
I see. So it could be in
Yes.
the petal or.
Yeah, it could be in the petal and things like that. So, and also have aromatic compounds. So let's go back to the element of how do we access our food item that is preserved? And we're starting to boil things, we overcook things, so we're like, oh no, let's rethink and see what would be the best temperature for that pineapple? What would be the best temperature for that beet? And the same thing for the roses. It applies to everything. So we go back to pH, temperature, specific gravity, how we manipulate nature to get what we want. So that's kind of like the rhythm of I want trying to share. Can you go to the next? We're almost done. So now let's go back to the culture. Has anybody been to San Jose del Pacifico or San Mateo Rio de Hondo? Okay, it's little bitty towns. 10,000 feet in the mountains, roughly, right? To get there, my goodness, if you get dizzy, take Dramamine, maybe 2. Fall asleep, or maybe a little bit of tequila or mezcal, and just pass out. It's scary going down there, isn't it? It's really scary. But when you're up in the mountains, let's go back to environment. A lot of people say, I feel funny. It's the trees, it's this. Now what's happening is the environment is affecting the individual, and we are affecting the environment. And then, like we talked about the analogy, will become this. So going to those areas, that's where a lot of magic mushrooms are. So when I was a kid, I was always being curious, and I was just picking things, right, and eat them, bugs, you name it. And sometimes I would, eat little pieces of that specific mushroom, and I would get a slap. But I will always wanted to understand why they grow here, why not down there, right? So we go back to the same pH, temperature, nutrients, altitude, pressure, and now us. I'm including us in the picture. So go back to my story from the beginning. I started working as an end-of-life specialist. I couldn't get a job in the, as in biorenewable industry. So the doors opened up, and another doctor heard about me, and I was invited to become now a representative to the community for women's health. So I'm part of UCSD San Diego, and I cover the entire West Coast. Anything that has to do with the physiology and the anatomy of a woman, that's what I'm studying. But to be honest, I'm like, again, from my other experience, how am I going to do that? But wait a minute, I'm a girl too. So I should know, right? A lot of things that we don't know. And that's what I'm finding out. So my grandma say, my mom, come home, go up to the mountain and ask Mother Earth for guidance. So can you go to the next? I went to El Cerro de la Postema. I don't know if you had a chance to go there. You have to have a guide. Just like you learn how to ride a bike, and mom and dad grab you from the back, and you're like pedaling, and you might drop, but you still have a secure individual encouraging and going, okay. The same thing goes for the mind. The same thing goes for our body. So I was almost embarrassed and ashamed that I was no longer helping the community, and I felt like I was grieving who I never met. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I'm grieving someone I never met, and why would I be suffering from that? So I went home, I did my ritual, and here I am, got my backpack. One of our cousins came, And my husband was there, and he's like, I got you, don't worry. You'll find him. But I just like, no, actually, I want to find the forest. I don't want to find him, to be honest. I think I'm good here. The altitude, 10,000 feet, you know, the pressure in the blood, you feel heavier. It's almost you're more grounded. That's what most people feel when you're up in the altitude. And there is a purpose to that. So as I'm going up, I look, and they were right there. So I was like, oh, does that mean I'm going to do it? So I decided to take the journey, a very intimate journey. If any of you ever decide to do a journey like that, go in with humbleness. Because you're going to see nature, but guess what? You're going to see yourself. So nature is going to be like, hey, I'm here, but hey, you're here with me. So that's kind of how I felt in the beginning. And can you go to the next, please? So I am here with my camera, and I'm just happy as a camper, and I'm finding them, and they're all like shining and going, I'm right here. So physiologically, what happens to the mind, what happens to the brain, to the hypothalamus, light goes in deeper into the brain. You see things brighter, colors come out, and you feel nature is just awesome. You're happy, you're in the right space, and nature is saying, I got you. You're okay. So it took me 3 hours and a half to go up, and I'm literally just looking. I'm in the ground. I hug a tree. I'm like, thank you for being here. You're awesome. Those are the ones, by the way, that I ate. As I'm going up, my guy, family members say, okay, what's your purpose here? I thought we were here for a cleanse. I'm like, this is my cleanse. She's like, oh, are you sure? Yes, ma'am. So we make it to the top. I'm sitting, there is some rocks. You're supposed to come and give a blessing. I had some flowers, I dropped it. And then guess what? I started crying, out of the blue. I went from, I love you, nature, to I am now sobbing. In Chinese medicine, I learned that when there is all these herbs that they have, that they open the mind in specific ways for you to cleanse. I wasn't sad at all, but the mushroom just went, child, it's time to cleanse. And it was just coming. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, if I can put a cup, I can capture all the tears. So at this rate, I'm going to hit a whole cup. What is going on? And then I felt it. I felt every individual that I held their head left. So they came home. So I go back to the environment. I'm showing you an environment, I'm showing you an organism, and I'm that organism in that forest. And it just kept going out. And I'm like, whoa, what's the species again of mushroom? Okay, the rumbas. Okay, the rumbas brings like a landslide. And then the guy say, take a deep breath, let it be. And I said, okay, let me do my math. Okay, I'm a science woman, right? I know science. So I said, wait a minute, 1919, 1917, 2020, okay. The majority of individuals that I helped passed away in transition from one matter to another, they were from Oaxaca. So I was like, oh, okay. I am humble now. I am humble that I found them, though they found me, and now they're showing me a very deep meaning of, okay, this is your environment, and you brought these people home. So I told the lady, I know why I'm here. Got it. You know, as a scientist, I should be writing down what time it started, what's the temperature, what's, what time of the day, where's the moon and the sun. And then she's like, calm down. It's not over yet. When you go back, tell the mushroom, thank you. It's a door that opens in the mind that is yours only. Do not ever, I would highly suggest, and listen to my words, ever overdo it, because you will go to the nothingness. And that was my fear. What if I go to the nothingness and then I will get lost? You don't want to get lost because you love yourself. You are conscious to open that door and look in and pick, and it's you there. No one else. And your connection with nature, your connection with the universe. And then I come down, and then now the chemical goes up and down in the body, and you can physically feel it. So I said, okay, I did Tai Chi in the United States, and I want Chi in my hand. Okay, I can do this. So I started doing Tai Chi. I'm like, I'm gonna move the Chi around my body like my professors taught me and see how it goes. Apparently, I was there for 45 minutes, and it felt like 5 minutes. And they were just waiting for me. It was absolutely beautiful. And then the first wave peaks, and when it goes down, the mind relaxes. So just like these cultures, they're going to eat, they're going to make babies for sure, and they're going to relax. This culture right here, all of us do the same thing. So I felt the down, and I said, okay, I'm ready to go home. I think I would like some chicken soup, and maybe some mushrooms in it. I'll be fine. I'm going down the mountain. Can you go to the next? Yeah. I'm going down the mountain, and I needed to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, brother. And someone said, go down to this little house, and then down here. We're talking, I'm like, you're practically climbing, right? Going down. There's a tiny bathroom, and on the very top there was a rooster. A giant rooster, and I'm thinking, haha, I bet that's the mushroom. There's no a rooster there. I'm just gonna use the bathroom, and I'm just gonna do my business. But the rooster kept looking at me. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. Maybe if I don't look, it will go away. But the rooster kept looking. And then I say, what's the problem, Elia? Nature is showing right now. Let's see what happened between the rooster and I. And I look up, and we looked at each other. Literally, I was there for 45 minutes, and again felt 5 minutes. And I looking at him like, oh, you're really big. Why look at your beautiful eyes? And then it hit this one, another wave came up, and I was like, whoa, you are really shiny. I'm like, I wonder what's your personality. And I'm not kidding. I was thinking the rooster was thinking the same of me. Like, wow, look at her. She's staring at me. She has funny looking eyes. Why she's there? Should I move? So I keep thinking, okay, what is he thinking? Or maybe what's he thinking about me? And I started trying this analogy that the rhythm went down. By then they were looking for me. Oh my goodness, we thought you were gone. You were all this time in the bathroom. So as I'm leaving, it was 2 days before I had to come back to the United States, and I give thanks to Earth, thanks to every individual that is part of San Diego. Thank you. Sorry, I got emotional. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Nothing? Huh?
You ended up going to the bathroom?
Yeah, I did went to the bathroom, yes. It was like, yeah, one of those. But yeah, I mean, I was really missing San Diego. San Diego has grown on me, and I was trying to how do I navigate one place to the other? Which one is my environment? and I realized that this is my environment. Oaxaca is my environment. So wherever you stand, it's your environment. So I brought my children, I call them my children. I left them in here at night, and I was in bed thinking, oh my gosh, what's the temperature in the room? Are they going to be mad at me? And I'm like, they look kind of skinny already. Maybe they stop eating. I'm like, what is wrong? But anyhow, what's next for me really quick? I'm finishing my program as a brewmaster. I brought one of my containers I forgot to mention. So I am going to be making fermentables, but everything for health. So I don't have Facebook or Instagram, anything like that. I'm so nerdy. I literally I have microscopes, and that's it. But soon I'm going to be doing more programs with the city of San Diego. I do the Day of the Dead every November. I'm the one who decorates the cemetery in Old Town and do the memorial there for everybody. You can find me there. And then I'm a member of the San Diego Mycological Society. So if ever want to reach out. By the way, I forgot something. Really quick. Who can remember the enzyme that is at room temperature in pineapple? Okay, well, wait, just okay, no, okay, let me do better. Okay, does anybody know, do you remember how you say, no, that's kind of cruel for me to do that. Let's see, anybody that would like to volunteer and share your experience today? They coming in and share us. Yes, coming in.
Okay, here I go.
What do you think?
About this,
Yes,
Or
the
about anything?
experience of today. Yes,
of this lecture?
yes,
Okay, I want to go back 2 steps.
yes.
To get here was so difficult. Did anyone else have a hard time finding a parking spot? Yes. Okay, it was incredible. I'm a Obetian. I never leave Ocean Beach, and I said, oh, I have to come to this. I'm an herbalist, and so this is a very, very important place, and I'm going to Oaxaca in a couple of months.
Wow.
So I said, okay, this is it. And I had to go to every parking lot, and I kept hearing, you got this, you got this, you got this, you got this. And just when I was like, and I said, okay, come on. And then all of a sudden, someone walked in, and they came out, and it was my spot, because it's just whoever lines up. So that was, and so during this whole time, it's just like, I know I am here. I know I am here.
Beautiful.
I know I am here.
Well, interesting you mentioned that. I ordered some herbology books on Amazon because I'm competing this year anyways. I might win, I might not, I don't know. But to arrive at my house. So I was like, oh, perfect timing. And you mentioned you're an herbalist. So this book accidentally came to my house and it's yours.
Oh!
Yes. Yes.
I think I met you when you were in Whole Foods. I think
Really?
I trained you. Could that be
See?
possible? Were you
It was Eunice. I was the educator. Yes, Eunice. So
Okay,
maybe
great.
maybe we did it. Interesting. Hey. So
Thank you.
I have another prize.
And it's Stephen Peter.
This. So White Labs is one of my sponsors. Dr. White, he's a biochemistry at UCSD. Now he is our local yeast grower. I used 3 of his cultures to inoculate these items right here. He loves yeast, as you can tell. He found out I was coming and he gave a gift. So let's see how we're going to do this, right? Now, who would like to come and share? If anything that you learn, anything that you want to, let's see, she raised her hand, sorry. Let's come, the lady in the back.
I just wanted to say that we ran late for your lecture, and I was like telling my student, like, let's just go anyways, and I was so touched to hear you talking about end of life, because the work that I've been doing, like, it hasn't been rewarding And I started reading about it, and that's really one of the areas that I have become passionate about and have wanted to step into. And to be able to hear it from you from a scientist point of view, like it was so touching. I'm like, I was meant to be here today and to hear you talk.
Yay! Well, there is a SCOBY here, so you can name it. I name all my cultures, so you can name it. It's tiny, it's this big. And if you give me your contact, I'm also going to give you a 1-to-1, a 1-hour lesson, how to take care of the fermentable. So, yes, you can. I'll teach you how to take care of that baby. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Yes, Cassandra. Yes, thank you. All right.
We hope you had so much fun today. The Fungus Fair is officially over. It rained. Oh my goodness. Today's awesome.
It rained? Really? Wow.
Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for coming.